Welcome, my Mercurial mercenaries. Just a quick, off-the-cuff, unrehearsed hot topic. I was just watching Anthony Fantano, the Needle Drops, the Melon, discussing the way that music is going towards bands, artists, releasing clutches of songs in preparation, building up to the creation of an album. So they might release 4 songs, which we used to call an EP back in the day, but those 4 songs end up being on the album. So therefore he's saying bands are releasing albums in stages. And he's asking why that is. And his conclusion, and the conclusion in the comments section seems to be, this is the way to get the streaming algorithm on your side. Constantly keep your songs in the limelight, constantly get people clicking. And the point we're reaching with all this is that people today, the general public, are listening to music as playlists. Now, the followers of this channel don't necessarily fall within that group. Having said that, some of you do. You've said to me that you're not that interested in albums, and you do have playlists, and you do use Spotify, and you do listen to tracks here and there. What I think Anthony Fantano misses here is that this isn't a new phenomenon. This has been going on for ages, and I've brought this up before. If a band or an artist releases a single, that's what we call singles now. It's just basically putting a song out there. Let's just call it a single for the purposes of old time's sake. You put a single out, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one, to the point where you've got 5 songs out from your future album. And let's face it, I'm not on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, but I've seen the way that when other channels present the information, Spotify will put an album track listing up with kind of a load of question marks, so you know an album's going to exist, and then as singles get released, the song names get filled in. I've seen this with the latest Tame Impala album. So it gets to a point where you know an album's going to be released, and then 4 or 5 tracks in, some of those songs have been filled in the track listing. So Tame Impala have done it, King Gizzard have done it, everybody does it. So we've been at the point for years now where I've already heard half your album before the alleged release date. So I'm not sure what the difference is between me having heard 5 songs off an album before the album release date, and they're called singles, to the idea that Anthony Fantano's bringing up, which is bands are releasing 4 or 5 tracks in one go, and then when the album's released, those tracks are on the album. So effectively, you've got half an album that exists, and then eventually the whole album will exist. That's what currently happens. And I've already said I'm kind of against that. I like the idea of listening to an album in one go, but you guys have told me before that you don't mind being drip-fed an album, and I think that's the point here. The future has been, for a long time, songs. The general public hear a song and they either like it or they don't. If they like it, they'll stick it in a playlist. They might then search that artist and listen to a few more songs. They might put those songs into a playlist. It's all about playlists. It's all about 1 million billion people out there making music, and it's 1 million billion trillion songs, and people just pick bits and pieces here and there. The days of albums, we keep talking about whether they're here, whether it's there. People will defend the idea of an album. They'll say, no, albums are still important. There'll be people who say, no, the album's dead, and you can get into battles over it. But to be honest, there's definitely a difference between your music aficionado and the general public. But the general public will always win out. What do you think, my mercenaries? That's the topic of the day, the hot topic. Hot topic. Albums being released in sections. What do you think? Over and